Genius Prismatic Mage. Chapter 8. Humphrey affirmed with a firm voice. I'm sure you don't intend to die a dog's death for the sake of something like revenge. Ghost of 17th Street. Ray. He didn't hesitate. Grabbed Ray's collar decisively, his determined eyes showing strong will. Humphrey continued. I have a suggestion for you. Ray looked up at him. Expressionless face. Cold eyes as if weighing every word Humphrey said. Humphrey began persuading Ray to help him find his younger brother. His voice warm and sincere. Ray, I've been watching you for a long time now. As such, I'd like to ask you to hear me out. Ray bowed his head but didn't take his eyes off Humphrey. Not just listening but silently assessing the man before him. Silent Humphrey, Ray thought. The nickname that stuck to him. In Ray's mind echoed rumors about Humphrey. They call him that because he's a quiet man that performs his duties perfectly. But now, Ray told himself, and that Humphrey is making this kind of desperate expression. It doesn't seem like he intends to deceive me. That desperation couldn't be faked. Finally, Ray decided to reply with a straightforward question. What is IT? Humphrey answered, calm voice. I'd like for you to leave Sector 50. Ray frowned, eyes questioning. Your reason? Humphrey solemnly made his request. I'd like you to find my brother. My brother, whom Hector sold to the City of Mages. He explained his reason, voice choked with bitterness. Hector said that if I work under him for 10 years, he'd tell me where my brother is. That's why I've been working for Hector. Humphrey spoke with a sad tone. By now, my brother should be about your age. Ray suspiciously asked. And why should I take on your request? Humphrey hesitated, then decided to ask directly. Ray, you know how to use magic, don't you? Humphrey's question shocked Ray, as if he'd just revealed a huge secret. Humphrey continued with a confident face. I'm sure of it after that fight in the warehouse. Even if you can use a little magic now, you won't be able to beat Hector. He persuaded Ray by describing Hector's cruelty. He always keeps a terrifying mage by his side. That pitch-black mana of fear is trembling. Humphrey trembled, voice choked. That mage is a demon. If any member dares to cross his mood, he'll freeze them whole. Humphrey told of a man who once got frozen by Hector's follower for offending him. He recalled another time. He even drowned a guy once by placing a bubble of water around his head. That punishment didn't kill, but caused horrific pain. He's an incredibly strong and cruel mage. Humphrey recalled the terrifying image of that man. Humphrey seriously advised, leave this place for now. You have to survive in order to have a chance to take revenge. Ray thought for a long moment, eyes fixed on Humphrey's hand. Humphrey is right. I've never learned magic. I've simply used it by intuition alone. On the other hand, my opponent is an expert. As things stand, I have no chance of winning. Humphrey continued with a serious but determined tone. I heard that the City of Mages is somewhere upstream of the Elton River. That place isn't ordinary, but a zone reserved for the strongest mages. A mystical city few can enter. They say only mages can enter that place. Ordinary people, the weak, absolutely cannot pass the magical barriers protecting that city. Every step there must be taken with strength and iron will. Humphrey looked straight at Ray, eyes more determined than ever. This is all the money I saved up my whole life. Every penny in my pocket is the sweat and tears I've shed for one goal. To rescue my brother from prison. Inside is a slip of paper with my brother's name and traits written on it. A small piece of paper, but it is the only key to finding where my brother is being held. Ray squinted, full of suspicion, asking distrustfully, why are you entrusting me with that money? He was betting his trust on a stranger like him. So why Ray and not someone else? I might not keep my promise. Ray's unhidden warning made the atmosphere tense. Humphrey did not hesitate, replying with a steady gaze and firm trust. I know you. You aren't one to break your promises. He didn't just say it with words. His eyes said it all, as if he deeply understood Ray's nature. And, from what I've seen of you, you're definitely skilled enough to go up to a sector of a higher level. This was not just a simple compliment, but a sharp observation from someone who had watched him for a long time and recognized Ray's hidden potential he himself never admitted. Humphrey's face was full of sincerity and trust as he handed the bag of money to Ray. His voice urgent, you can do it. He knew well that if Ray agreed, this would be the only path to save his brother. Ray pondered silently, his eyes fixed on the bag as if weighing everything deep inside his mind. Seeing Ray hesitate, Humphrey became urgent, his voice stronger. The other members will be here soon. You have to decide. Ray. Time was against them, and every decision needed to be made immediately. Finally, Ray spoke, his voice cold but resolute. I have a condition. He was not agreeing easily, but with a clear condition. Take care of all the corpses at the underpass. This was Ray's non-negotiable condition, showing responsibility and respect for those who had fallen in the chaotic battle. Only then will I find your brother. Only after completing this responsibility would Ray accept to start the journey to find Humphrey's brother. Humphrey responded with a relieved and joyful look, his voice firm. All right. His promise was not only an agreement but a strong commitment to his brother's fate in their lives. I'll make sure of it. He did not hesitate, ready to face any challenge to ensure everything was done according to Ray's wishes. Suddenly, Ray turned around, walking in another direction, making Humphrey curious and worried. Wait for me. This was not a hasty farewell but a promise that he would return. Under the blazing sunlight, Ray's figure gradually disappeared, his steps carrying both aspiration and responsibility. Ray left a brief but weighty word, then dashed away. I'll be back. It was not just a promise but a declaration for a battle yet to end. Humphrey stood there, eyes following Ray's running back, heart filled with faith and hope. He would come back and accomplish what they both desired. At the crossroads where dark, deserted streets met, the atmosphere became gloomy and silent to the point that every gasp of Ray as he ran echoed in the cold space. Ray stopped, panting heavily, sweat beading on his forehead. He knew he no longer had time to hesitate. Ray thought silently, his eyes swiftly scanning around. Good, nobody's following me. There was no shadow tailing him. At least, he could feel temporarily safe. Ray walked up to where Viola was sitting. Beside her was a small object that looked like an old, tilted cup. Without hesitation, Ray dropped a coin into the cup, his urgent voice ringing out. Grandma Viola, I have a question. I don't have time, so please answer quickly. Grandma Viola raised her eyebrows. Just from the voice, she immediately knew who it was. She answered gently. Oh, Ray. Okay, what did you want to ask? She smiled, her eyes filled with affection but also curiosity. Ray didn't waste time with pleasantries and asked straight out. That story about the rainbow. Is it true, that if you find a rainbow, you'll be able to make a wish? The question came out like a mystery, suspended between reality and legend, something Ray had never been sure was real. In Ray's mind, the image of a small boy suddenly returned, his excited voice ringing out. Brother, they say there's a rainbow somewhere in the sky. Ray had looked confused back then, honestly not understanding. What's a rainbow? The boy's eyes sparkled, his face full of enthusiasm as if talking about the most magical thing in the world. A long, colorful band that appears when the rain clears. Like a pretty, colored donut with a bite taken out of it. The boy's quirky and vivid description made the image of a rainbow feel more real than ever. And then, he added the most enchanting part. And if you find where the rainbow touches the ground, you'll be able to make a wish. Isn't that cool? Ray scoffed and replied indifferently. Donuts. I think those CRUTER guys wanted some donuts. His answer made the boy instantly angry. The boy snapped, his voice full of frustration. Listen seriously, will you? Ray said nothing, calmly dodging the boy's angry punches while keeping a neutral expression. Alright, I'll have to take care of them tomorrow. The boy grew even more furious, shouting, That's not it, brother, you idiot, stupid. His words were filled with disappointment and rage, thickening the tension. Ray gazed off into the distance, his face pensive and full of thought. Grandma Viola answered softly, her voice carrying the weight of an old secret. Rainbows exist, whether or not you can make a wish. Ray silently observed the flow of mana within Mrs. Viola, trying to sense even the slightest tremor. There aren't any tremors in her mana. It's a clear purple color like always. That stability made it impossible for Ray to tell truth from lie. I can't tell whether she's lying or not, but it's not without any basis. There was something in her words that didn't seem entirely fantastical. A scene suddenly flashed through Ray's mind. His earlier conversation with Humphrey. When Humphrey had wondered, now that I think about it, a mage came here looking for something once. Was it a rainbow? That question felt like a key puzzle piece in the mystery Ray was trying to solve. Ray clenched his hand tightly, a wordless conviction rising in his heart. That mage was looking for a rainbow too. I'm sure that means they had solid proof for the existence of rainbows. Ray decided not to hesitate any longer, asking Mrs. Viola with a voice full of hope. If I find that rainbow thing, would I be able to revive the dead? A question filled with longing and deep sorrow. Mrs. Viola smiled brightly, her eyes gleaming with mystery. WHO knows? They say you can make a wish. Any wish, come true. Her words sparkled like a beam of light in the dark. Ray frowned slightly, feeling that the answer still held something he couldn't quite grasp. Mrs. Viola continued, her voice brimming with confidence as if stating a hidden truth. However, nobody knows where rainbows are. It's likely somewhere far away. Her words echoed like a challenge for Ray's upcoming journey. Ray gently bowed his head, then clearly expressed his gratitude. That's fine, thank you. Before leaving, Ray didn't forget to make a suggestion. Oh, and by the way, it'd be good for you to move. Pulling his hood low to cover half of his face, Ray walked off with cold, determined eyes. Outskirts of Sector 50 23rd Street. Ray crouched beside an old oil drum, holding the paper Niles left behind, murmuring to himself. The place that Niles wrote down on this paper is here. But the paper in Ray's hand was carefully drawn and marked by Niles. Each ink stroke brimming with hope and secrets. Right at the spot Niles had marked, a white car was quietly parked on the narrow road. Ray silently confirmed to himself. Found IT. A memory surged back. Niles's words echoed. I'll at least prepare a car. Ray smiled. So he prepared a 4-seater sedan. A 4-seater sedan, just enough for his future companions. Suddenly, a voice rang out, making Ray's hand on the door handle stop abruptly. "WHO are you?" That same voice continued, filled with mockery and coldness. "Looks like Niles's brat." Ray turned his head, eyes sharp as they locked onto the source of the voice, ready for whatever lay ahead. The man asked, his voice cold but probing, "Did you receive orders to bring the car over?" His expression lit up with excitement, as if he'd already guessed the answer but still asked to confirm. "Hey, where's Niles?" A dull anger rose in Ray's mind as he thought. "I thought I'd lost all of Hector's men. I can't afford to waste any more time." Time now felt as precious as gold. Without hesitation, Ray swiftly opened the car door, ready to dive into his plan. The man was caught off guard, and his eyes suddenly flared with intense rage. He shouted, voice full of challenge, "Where do you think you're going?" Ray didn't hesitate. He dove into the driver's seat of the sedan, while the man also rushed toward the car door. Ray slid into the seat and quickly shut the door, heart pounding in his chest. But unfortunately, the man's strong hand had already grabbed onto the car door. Ray jolted in shock, his eyes flashing with fear. The man shoved his whole face inside, throwing Ray a furious, hostile glare. He roared, voice heavy with pressure, "Open the door." Ray struggled to hold the door shut, his whole body trembling, his strength nearly drained. "I've used too much mana. My strengthening magic is giving out." Despite his exhaustion, Ray summoned mana into the palm of his hand, a mystical light beginning to form. His eyes blazed as he focused all his energy into his mana-charged hand, aiming it toward the man trying to stop him. Ray unleashed a powerful blast of mana directly at him. The brilliant light shot straight through the man's body, making him recoil in pain, caught off guard by Ray's strike. Without delay, Ray kicked him forcefully away. The man crashed onto the street, groaning in pain and powerless before Ray's strength. Ray shifted the gear and slammed his foot on the accelerator. The engine roared, chasing after the rhythm of Ray's racing heartbeat. The sedan sped down the street, marking the beginning of a new journey. The streets behind slowly faded from view, and the worries in Ray's heart seemed to be left behind. "I'm finally going." Outside of Sector 50, the sedan raced ahead under Ray's expert control, heading toward an uncertain but hope-filled future.